friends, my name is Miss Catherine, and today we are going to be reading the first chapter from The Curse of the Night Witch, Emblem Island by Alex Aster. Before we get started, I just want to mention how beautiful the cover is. I love book covers. I always pick up books that have the best covers. I know you're not supposed to judge, but there's something about these beautiful colors that just wants me to read this entire book. So we're reading Curse of the Night Witch on Hoopla, which is another resource the library has for audiobooks or ebooks and even movies and music. So the first chapter is called The Wish. Tor Luna often studied his little sister's lifeline. Today he ran a finger across Rosa's tiny hands, and she squirmed, laughing. "Look at all of those peaks," he said, tapping the rainbow-colored lines, winding up and down her palms. "More than the Scalawag Range, even," Rosa said with a smug grin. She had never seen the Scalawag Range, Tor knew, and neither had he, but the famous mountains were rumored to dwarf the ones that surrounded their village like fences. He closed Rosa's hand gently with his own, satisfied. Though it was rare, lifelines could change overnight, so Tor always checked, just in case. He found the ritual comforting. Seeing Rosa's destiny printed out in front of him, across both palms, was like witnessing her future unfold. The challenges, valleys, the trials, loops, and of course the accomplishments, peaks. Her lifeline was longer than average, dipping down almost all the way to her right wrist, and Tor was grateful for that. Her mother was most grateful of all. 8 years earlier, the day Rosa was born, Chiefess Luna had studied the little girl's hands and breathed a sigh of relief. Then, surrounded by all of their village and the hollow echo of beating drums, the chiefess had carefully examined every inch of her newborn, searching for an emblem. The crowd moved like a wave, rocking forward in anticipation, their sharp whispers like cracks of fire. The chiefess had not needed to look for long. "There!" Tor yelled, pointing at his little sister's throat. A small red heart sat on the left side of her neck, directly between her jaw and collarbone. Tor's mother smiled, and the crowd cooed approvingly. "A singer," she said, pressing a gentle finger to the baby's skin. It was a good gift, not as rare as others, but a good emblem nonetheless. Some were born with nothing at all. The chiefess was quick to remind her children. Markless, they were called. "More than the Scalawag Range," Tor repeated with a small smile, then shot a glance at his own hands. Just like Rosa, his lifeline had never changed. Sometimes he wished it would. The colorful lines on his palms ran steadily, boringly straight. No high peaks or even low valleys to speak of. A nice, comfortable life, his mother liked to say, her eyes smiling like that was a good thing. Tor was always very quick to point out that it was not. A steady lifeline meant no pain or complications. That was true. But it also meant nothing to look forward to, no adventure. What was life without a dash of danger? There was one thing out of the ordinary about Tor's lifeline, however, a tiny knot on his left hand, where all of the lines tied together in a small speck of a twist. It was so tiny, so unnoticeable, that the village's elderly palm reader had squinted at it. Glasses perched on the second bump of her nose, and shrugged. "I don't see any knot," she had declared, but Tor saw it, and he hoped that it meant something. A sliver of pink swirled across the sky, and Rosa's dark brown eyes widened. "I'm late!" she yelled, running out of their home, built like all of the others into the base of a large tree. Tor sighed. Rosa was always late, and she always looked surprised about it. Moments later, a perfect melody broke through the dawn. A chorus of voices that never cracked or faltered were performing their morning song. There was shuffling outside as the village woke up, each member shedding layers of sleep, dreams, and possibly nightmares. The tune went on, then seamlessly transitioned into a simple song only performed once every 12 months, on New Year's Eve, the island's most important holiday. Each new year was a new opportunity to make a wish, and the Emblemites wrote theirs on leaves. On the night of December 31st, each desire was thrown into a glorious bonfire. A wish was a sacred thing. It had to be born from the heart of true desire. And there were rules. No vengeance or violence allowed. And there were risks. Crafting bad wishes could end in the wisher being cursed. And as with all things, there was luck. Of the many wishes submitted, only a few of the island's inhabitants would find theirs granted in the new year, along with a gold star on their skin to remind them of the gift they were given. Tor had written in his own wish months before, and had carried the worn leaf in his pocket ever since, waiting. Hearing the Eve song finally playing, he smiled and danced his fingers across it. "Today's the day! Today's the day! Today's the day!" he chanted in his head until the words bled together. "Happy day," his mother said from behind him. Tor jumped, quickly pulling his hand from his pocket. He nodded in response, then walked toward the kitchen, mumbling about finding their tin of quinoa tea. Just then his father walked in holding a tray with 4 clay mugs of the traditional Eve drink. Of course, he'd already made it. His talent was cooking, and he had the knife symbol on his index finger to prove it. "Happy Eve," his father said, planting a kiss on top of Tor's head. Tor smiled, but only one side of his mouth pulled up. His father eyed him for a few moments too long. Could he tell that Tor was sweating? Was his wish sticking out of his pocket? Then his father smiled back. At the same moment, Rosa crashed through the front door, black braids swinging behind her. She was humming a tune as sweet as emerald pudding, soft as a gentle ping of wind chimes. Tor's parents looked at each other in a loving way that made him half nauseated and half happy. "School," he mumbled, grabbing his lunch pack and heading out of the kitchen. His mother's head turned with hawk-like speed. This early? Why couldn't his mother be bad at her job just this once? Care just a little less. He wouldn't mind having an absentee mom. His friend Engel turned out just fine without having his parents around all the time. Tor swallowed and tried not to look at his feet. That would certainly give him away. Leadership board meets before class starts. He froze, waiting for his mother's eyebrows to twist in suspicion. But that didn't happen. She smiled, and her eyes filled with something dangerous. Hope? Tor felt a knife-a-gilp twist in his stomach. His mother's smile dropped as quickly as it had formed. "Go on, then," she said calmly, like she believed that sounding too excited would make Tor suddenly realize he did not, in fact, want to be on the leadership board. He backed out of the room, then ran out of the house, carefully closing the front door behind him. Nervous sweat spotted his forehead as a few leaves sprinkled down from the branches that stretched above his home like welcoming arms. The leaves were purple, a powerful color, the shade of a chiefess. Tor swallowed. He didn't like the color at all, or what it symbolized, unfortunately. He had the hue printed right on his skin, 2 purple rings around his left wrist. Tor took one look at his leadership emblem and wondered if his mother would ever forgive him for what he was going to do. All right, my friends, so that's chapter 1. If you enjoyed this, please, you can use your library card to register and sign up for Hoopla, or sign into Hoopla, and you can check this out at home. I hope you enjoyed this, and please join us next week for a new chapter from a new book. And also, if you're here from READsquared, you will find the code in the description below to get your points. Have a great day. Bye, friends.